Hey everybody, clearing. Oh, back and forth. Okay, so on the pre-shuffle today, I'm gonna do a DM reading, but I'm hearing, what is the conflict of interest? What is the familiar, unfamiliar? What do these DMs get confused about with regard to intimacy here? So this is going to be a very let's see, this deck is going to show familiar territory for these DMs. Then we're going to also pull a deck for what they're cutting edge, what they hope, wish for, where they want to get to regarding intimacy. We're going to look at the emotions that are kind of in between worlds there, and then how they perceive the divine feminine showing up. So that's just going to be their perceptions in the mix here, but we're getting into a psychological deep dive. So this is for DMs. If you want some support in helping to work through some of these things, and it's for DFs to support to see where your DM is at. So thank you, Divine Creator, for using me as a channel of only the highest, most beneficial information coming through. What can we see for these DMs? What is their status quo? Where did they come from? What patterns did they learn? How is that being brought to the surface with these connections? What are these DMs feeling is the higher love, the more advanced, mature way to navigate, compared to what they've been shown and modeled? I'm hearing specifically that some of them were raised around a lot of arguing, that they've come into feeling a deep subconscious connection with resistance and arguing, like getting attention that way and then being called out, or that there's a familiarity to the feminine calling the masculine out on things. I've seen 111 and 222 in this reading so far, but the divine feminine doesn't do that, and so there's almost this feeling of, does the feminine love me? Because they're not behaving the ways I've seen love modeled. Okay, so what are the emotions coming up through these two worlds, and how are the DMs viewing the feminines? So this can be anything, good, bad, ugly. We'll see what shows up at each of these junctions. Oh, bear with me, I'm being told 2 more shuffles. Okay. So here we go. How are these DMs looking at the connections? They're kind of guarded on their heart. They're hanging on to it, but they don't know how to bring progress. There is a holding pattern here. The 4 of Coins can be like scarcity or lack mindset. So, but it can also be a safe foundation with a lot of potential. So they feel kind of in uncharted territory, or they feel invited to go beyond their comfort zone, beyond their familiar, but they keep this guard up about how and why and when and where it's going to resemble their familiar. What would they like to get to? Progress. Yeah, 6 of Swords is a paradigm shift. So internally they're looking at, how's that working for them? They're like, well, I can't just stay in this comfort zone. So I'm getting that they are not, oh, it's a love-hate. They are not deepening these connections because there's insecurity about where they stand with you. They don't want to rock the boat and recreate arguing or karmic back and forth, but they also, that's what they've known. And so they're doing the inner work to see what else love could be. Like, there's something about the subconscious and the conscious, the imprinting and the deliberate coming to the surface here. What can we see for the emotion? Purpose. I know what I'm here to do. So this paradigm shift where they take their power back and stop running the show on whether they're going to rock the boat or not. This is really showing them and pointing them to aligning with their own purpose. So a lot of these push-pull dynamics that they were raised in and familiar with, the people involved played small. That's why they were in that pettiness, because they weren't following their hopes and dreams. They didn't have the luxury to do that. And so they weren't reaching their potential, and they made it about the other one. Wow. So we're seeing codependency being revealed to these masculines, and really it's a resistance that's ultimately bringing these masculines into more ownership of what they are here to do, their higher timelines, their best lives. You know, masculines, your feminine, your true divine feminine will be with you stride for stride, and is not a contest between you and your purpose. But a lot of what you were modeled is contradictory to people stepping into their purpose. So just keep that in mind, that there's a lot going on here, a lot of familiar, a lot of unfamiliar. The love is here, but the familiar ways of navigating relationship are not, because this transcends those patterns. So if you are watching this, masculines, very much do a meditation to really stop projecting the familiar broken templates onto this dynamic with your feminine. Really call yourself out on where you have a familiarity with those lower vibrational patterns, that love-hate with it. Your feminine is not going to demonstrate fake love like that to you by being controlling or your moral code, or recreate that familiar chaos and hell. And so they do care. They actually care more because they're not instigating that with you. But it's a deep, deep core imprinting. And so you're going to have to see how it's actually at more advanced, even though your ego and your imprinting would tell you that your feminine isn't loving you because they're not chasing or getting upset or calling you out or being your moral code. Wow. How are the masculines perceiving their feminines? Ooh, justice in the inverse. So there's something here that so this can be quite literal, that the feminines aren't quite done with some legal matters, or the masculines aren't quite done with legal matters, but it can also be that there's something that doesn't feel fair. I'm hearing the masculines saying, I love you so much. Why aren't you showing me you love me? Okay, masculines, it's because the ways that you have perceived that love is shown isn't actually real love, and that's a deep unlearning. Wow. What can we see for how these masculines are accustomed to viewing a connection? Skeptical, on guard, damned if I do, damned if I don't. This fox is like keeping their cards close to their chest, peeking, watching, waiting to catch out or be caught out in some kind of misstepping. It's really, it's almost bordering paranoia. Their minds are doing a number on them. Usually in relationships, it's a game of protecting the heart and strategy. What do they want to move towards? Grounding, actual 10 of Cups, emotional fulfillment. They actually want to have safety. They actually want to feel love and safety and affinity with a partner. What is the emotion here? Acceptance in the inverse. This says, I am learning to accept the things I cannot change. So these connections are standing the test of time. These masculines are very confused why, like on a subconscious level, why the feminines are still in the energy and yet not behaving in these karmic ways. So masculines, that is because it's standing the test of time. Real love is not going to be fickle like how you've been shown. Yeah, so you can't change the past, but you can change the present, I hear. How are they perceiving the feminines? 5 of Wands, Lord of Strife. Okay, so I'm getting that feminines, you have expressed certain things about your existence, what you've been through, and you've been in strife. And so these masculines don't want to add, they're very skittish. They don't want to have all that other strife projected onto them. So they do get this part, but they also don't want to add any of the intensity from their side of it onto your plate. They don't want it to the straw that breaks the camel's back, so they stay back. Yeah, they are kind of just watching this for when there's a window of time where your life is actually balanced out, feminines, or they perceive it. They may be overly cautious with what you can handle, because they've seen other feminine energies be really fragile and explode during times of stress, I'm hearing. And so they don't want to be the brunt of your stress. Wow, so these masculines have really seen feminine energy dump on masculines, or be emotional, or be volatile. I'm hearing PMS, or like any of the hysterics, any of the feminines losing it, diva, dumping on the masculines. They've seen this modeled in their histories, whether it's their parents or other relationships that they've gotten into. They don't want to have that. Oh, masculines, your divine feminines aren't going to put that on you like this. But they are on guard for it. And in some ways they are set back watching how you handle, because they do know you handle things much differently. They also are starting to see how they have not needed to treat you like you're going to be another one of those feminines. What can we see for a heart space, these masculines? So the truth, they are coming to some high-level truths about how this is different on the heart space. So their heart is showing them the way, and it is adjusting their logic. So when we're in the mind space, we have this mental guardedness, this skepticism, these previous, like, rightfully so. It's been a landmine field out there. But the heart space here is telling these masculines, this time it's different. This time it's different. What are they seeing? What do they want? Three of Coins, yeah, they want to see the inner workings of things. They want to see more than meets the eye. They want to understand energy. Their heart is telling them it's safe to do that here, that this is a contrast that is salve to these karmic wounds. What is the emotion coming up in that? Patience. I accept that everything happens in divine order. So they are seeing the hand of God in this connection, and that they have been so blessed to have someone like you come into their reality. How are they seeing the feminine? Oh, 10 of Cups, Lord of perfected success. So they do see the potential for this 10 of Cups with you specifically, feminine. So don't fear that this wounding or these histories are too substantial for the masculines to know. The sober truth I just heard, that you do offer. It's almost like a carrot on the stick, though, because they do see that potential in you, yet their subconscious familiar patterns give them this insecurity that you're not behaving in predictable ways or the imprinted ways. And so even though they see you like this, you feel unattainable in some ways, because they're getting mixed signals about what love is and how people show love. So they're pushing through this layer right now, but they do see you as this holy grail on the other side. They do see you as perfect. They just think that maybe that you don't see them as perfect for you, because they see this layer emerging where they've tried to engage you in this very familiar subconscious driven pattern, and you haven't. So they've felt confused by that, because you haven't acted the way that they are accustomed to people reacting and acting. Especially when people are stressed and they vent, and then the other one makes it about them and vents in exchange. They haven't seen you doing that. And so their heart is telling them this is better. Suki, no. Suki, no. Some ravens. Okay, what can we see for their heart of hearts? They really want to be open to all good things. They want to keep an open mind. They want to have an open heart. They want to bravely be ready for the real thing coming. What do they really want? Yeah, they want to be free from all of this second guessing and insecurity and insecure attachment. What's the emotion coming up in this? Courage. Yes, I find the inner strength to face fear with confidence. So the reason this is coming up in the energy is because they are tackling this, and it is dawning on them that they've been on guard for you feminines to be a karmic energy or a habituated relationship dynamic, and they are daring to believe that just maybe because this is standing the test of time, that it is authentically the real deal. What can we see for how they're looking at you? 8 of Cups. Okay, so they know you're kind of at the wit's end, bored, over it, done with these games. They can feel your energy removed. You've changed something. They can still see on a good day that you apparently still really want them, but they also feel like you're just kind of over it, and they can tell that you're losing interest in these kinds of lower vibrational ways, games, habits, interactions. You're doing so well, feminines, not engaging in this stuff, and it is causing these masculines to take a deeper look, but it's not necessarily easy for them because we are monkey see, monkey do. So these masculines don't necessarily have the guidebook that shows what you do to handle a connection appropriately. They have been handed a whole lot of what not to do. And so they're going to have to go to the divine. They're going to have to pray for this guidance because it is uncharted territory. It's of a divine love. It's not of an earthly survival template. What is it that they have believed they could manifest? Yeah, not moving forward in relationships because they haven't seen how to do that in a healthy, healed, balanced way. What do they want here? Queen of Cups, they want to use their intuition to get past that. They want to get past it. They want things to move forward. They want to know how to do that and be entrusted with a love that like this, that they see this as a potential. What is the emotion? Envy. I'm the same as everybody, but with different challenges. Okay, so they think you have lots of options, feminines, and they think they're more challenged in certain ways that might end up being the deal breaker here. And so they're really working on how to take accountability with their particular imprinting, their particular challenges. They're really digging into trusting that this could possibly be unconditional love. What do I have to lose? This is only going to better my own life. Whether my feminine is there when I get past this junk or not, I'll have to risk it. But I need to do this for me and potentially to one day show this feminine who I can actually be, if they're still there, if they'll wait for me. Okay, so these masculines really do feel like you might go on to somebody that has a less incompatible hang up than they do. Masculines, everybody is healing from this stuff. How do they see their feminine? The Last Judgment. Okay, the spirit of primal fire. So I'm getting with primal fire, that's very carnal, that's very intimate. This is in the inverse. So these masculines feel like the attraction is going to dwindle to non-existent if they keep taking so long to figure out how to actually love you right. Ooh. And possibly they're not wrong, because feminines, it's free will out there. And yeah, you're not going to wait forever. You want the real deal. But, you know, ideally in these connections, as you let go, it happens when you least suspect it, because as you let go, the masculines do come into this pristine alignment. Only time will tell for each situation here, once you fully let go, if that is a result of healing or if it's individuation, right? Because when we let go of certain individuals, we either come into union or we finally get to release them, and then we connect with somebody at that next level. So it could go either way here, and free will is a thing. So at this point, though, they see the feminine as possibly done with them, possibly not, that they are not able to turn the feminine on anymore if they can't get their act together, that they're actually going to lose them, that the fire will go out. Masculines, your divine feminine is a keeper of their own fire, and so it's not up to you to keep their fire. So just keep keeping your fire, masculines, and allow what will happen, to play out. Feminines, don't wait for somebody if you feel you can move on. But if you don't feel fully free, these masculines may just light their own fire and then have a bonfire with you. So don't throw in the towel if that's not genuine to you. But if you are ready to move on, do you. There is no binding in these connections. What can we see for the actions the masculines historically have thought to take? Over deliberation, meditating, not doing anything, being in non-action, analyzing these connections, holding back, sorting things, waiting indefinitely. What would they like to do? The Empress, they want to go towards their abundance, their Empress. This is fertility. This is a pregnancy card. This is abundance. My palms just got itchy. What does that mean? Wink, wink. Oh my goodness. So yeah, they want to make love, I just heard. What is the emotion connected with this? Perseverance. I know that I can do whatever I set my mind to. So these masculines want to show up. They want to push through this insecurity. They want to push through these illusions and confusion. They want to come towards you. They want to embrace this higher timeline, this utopian dream. They want to make it real. But they are accustomed to waiting indefinitely. 2222, I just saw. How do they view their feminine in this regard? Lord of blended pleasure, 4 of cups. So they know that you could come together and blend here. That there could be an exponential amount of pleasure that comes from this if they were to come forward. But their ego is telling them this isn't love because it's not familiar. But their hearts are telling them this is the better way. Oh my goodness. Yes, masculine. So just keep leaning into this being progress because it's balanced and peaceful. There's no mayhem in this, masculines. So really overcome that battle. What can we see for the biggest challenge historically? Being non-committal. What do they want? Grounding this higher love. What is the emotion? Adversity. I accept that challenges are the best way to learn. So instead of being challenged by the person, these masculines are realizing it's a challenge because it's unfamiliar. Oh my goodness, what I'm reading. And how are they seeing their feminine? Ready to have this new start with or without them. What is the solution to this challenge of non-committal? Really facing the emotional turmoil, the depression, the feeling of abandonment, the being left out in the cold, being willing to risk it in the name of love, masculines. Pushing past that feeling of segregation, of feeling like your feminine is rejecting you, of your own insecurity, dealing with the trauma that made you feel like you had to self-isolate or guard your heart from early childhood onwards. This is about you admitting that you have been in this private hell and projecting that onto it's a bad attitude. This is about you understanding it's an inside job. It's your bad attitude that's pushing away that which is good for you, masculines. And also, to your defense, you have been very finicky with relationships and non-committal because they have not been good. They've been a repeat of history. They were going to drive you down the karmic path. And so it's a love-hate here, and you're going to have to find the redemption story through this for yourself in your specific storyline, masculines. Nobody can do it for you. Wow, you're at that precipice. You are at that edge of development, masculines. This is absolutely exquisite. What are you going towards? Ace of Cups, unconditional love, loving yourself, not needing that from someone else. When you love yourself, you can actually see who does love you and who doesn't. And it's opposites day out there, because masculines, those who have something to say about it and are condemning you and nitpicking and nattering, those are not love. That's control issues, that's insecurity, that's codependency, that's making somebody responsible for your happiness. Your feminine is coming into their own and wants nothing but the best. Your feminine wants peace. Your feminine wants thriving. Your feminine wants true partnership, true acceleration and abundance. And so love yourself enough to know that you've got the real deal here, masculines. And the emotion, denial. I acknowledge my fear, but I replace it with the insight of awareness. So tell yourself the truth, masculines. Likely, if you're watching this far in, you are actually watching for your divine feminine, and vice versa, but specifically these masculines. Don't believe the hype of your fear, and really look at the fruits of this feminine. They are not rejecting you. They're still there in the energy. They're just not behaving in the ways that you've seen people do when they get spazzy, when they're losing control over something. Stop testing your feminine that way, masculines. How are these masculines seeing their feminines? Eight of Swords, freeing themselves from Lord of Shortened Force. So these masculines are seeing you, feminines, wanting to grow, wanting to outgrow these stagnancies, these karmic hiccups, these hurdles. They see you wanting to get out of your own mind about this. They see you gonna leave them in the dust if they don't masculine up here. If they don't get a handle on this stuff, they know that they're gonna lose you, because you're not going to stay back and put up with their indecision anymore. But this is the root of their indecision at this stage, in this energy. For these masculines, it's all about you deviate from what they're accustomed to as what they've been modeled in relationships, because they've only seen broken codependent relationships, and this isn't that. So they're really having to give themselves a reality check. Masculines, only the divine can show you what real love looks like. Your feminine is a divine being, and they've come into this righteousness. And so you're going to be learning rapid fire here what righteousness is in love, rather than what that karmic stuff was by contrast. So what is the near future? What would they expect? Well, they know this is more than friendship, but it's in that aloof. It's not quite like cheers, Two of Cups. We've met our match, let's do this. But it is definitely more than friendship. And so there's this hover, there's this in-between worlds. What do they want? Oh, they want to find their truth. The Ace of Swords in the inverse, it can be that they don't know what it is externally. When there's ambiguity about what's going on externally, all we can do is go into our truth. Unconditional love, the Lovers, this Ace of Swords, abundance, the Queen of Cups. These masculines know, their heart knows what this truth is. They want to take this leap of faith. Absolutely. Everything in their being is screaming, do this, go for it. It's time, do this. However, they still have to overcome this imprinting and find the actual head-heart alignment within this, their truth. They have to see these specific examples of what love is how it's been demonstrated here versus the karmic contrast that they're accustomed to. Only they can go in with this surgical sword of truth, Archangel Michael's sword of truth, the sword of love, and go in and cut out that misconception about what love was. Because when children are imprinted by things that are karmic, they tend to associate that with relationship. They see that as familiar, as relationship. And so these masculines are having to mature and come into their sovereignty and remove themselves from that lower vibrational imprinting so that they can believe in love. What is the emotion here? Grief. I understand that losing something is an opportunity to appreciate it. So they know they haven't lost you yet, and they know they could. They also don't want to lose themselves. They want to find their purpose. And they're also seeing generationally, I'm getting that again, about seeing their own parents not reaching their own parents' highest timelines, purpose. They've seen their parents not having been in a place to actually fulfill their higher callings that way entirely. And so they're having to watch what happens to people when that occurs in their life, when they let themselves down for whatever reason. They can't get beyond the trauma, the generational stuff, the societal stuff. We have been coming out of barbaric energy on the planet, and this stuff is emerging for us to consider because we actually are decompressing from that trauma in pockets and collective motions all over the planet right now. But it's a deep, deep, deep generational curse breaking process. And these masculines are seeing the ripple effect in all aspects. They're seeing it personally, generationally, societally. They're seeing it in this connection. They're seeing it in you, feminines. They are seeing that they can transcend this, but they are still learning the intricate ways that it actually transcends each thought in each situation, each fork in the road. They're seeing this is where it happens, each perception. So there is a bit of a review here for these masculines where they are having to call themselves out on, instead of just falling back on the cliche or the lazy way of interpreting things, the familiar. They are forced to take a deeper, closer look at love because of your connection, feminines. Whoa. Queen of Swords. So they're seeing you as not having it. They're going to have to come to you mature, or you're not going to let them pass your pearly gates, I just heard. Okay, I'm going to leave that here. So masculines, this feminine that you're likely watching this for is a transcendent feminine, divine feminine. And so you do have the ability here to have real love with them. Keep going with this shedding of the karmic stuff and be a steward of the higher templates. Lean into the divine so you know what love really looks like, and stop telling yourself that your feminine doesn't love you because they're not upset when you test them. Okay, many blessings, everyone. Bye for now.